Hi and welcome to the School of Tao. This episode is all about reclamation of parts of your consciousness field back into your integrity and your wholeness, and how to work with the shadow in love, the shadow aspect of your nature, and reintegrate, reclaim parts of yourself in love that might have been neglected or suppressed or repressed, and that are asking to come back to your integrity, into your wholeness of being. And the only way that we can do this, the only way that it's possible to do this, is through love. Because if ever we're too harsh, or we're like meeting a harshness with a harshness, it just amplifies the rejection and the negation. And there is no rejection in nature. Nature incorporates all aspects of themselves, the darkness and the light. So when we're thinking about shadow work, you know, it's really about love and reclamation. It's not about shaming. So it's reclaiming, not shaming. It's loving, not rejecting. And the idea is that we bring in all of those parts with like complete compassion. So the aim is to come to this place where we're loving all aspects of who we are and expressing our fullness and acknowledging the light and the dark. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you're met with opposition, because opposition and contrast is a really interesting aspect of nature. It comes in to show you where you might be suppressing parts, and because it's an oppositional force, it feels quite aggressive. Maybe it feels like an aggressor in the shape and form of a person in front of you or a relationship. So anything that is like a tension or a really strong contrast has great alchemical potential, because when something oppositional comes in, then you are being called to express something, and the more oppositional it is, the larger the truth is that you have to speak, and the larger probably the part is that you have to reclaim, or maybe even like the more suppressed it is that has to be brought to the surface. So just observe when you're meeting with any oppositional forces and see what it's asking of you. What's it asking you to speak? How's it asking you to behave? Is it asking you to insert a boundary? Really express your truth. Stand in your personal truth, like unwavering. This type of behavior that you're meeting with, this opposition, is calling for that. So this is like maybe you've been too quiet, or you haven't spoken your truth, or when you were younger you were not heard, and so you're asking this, you know, this powerful force that might appear as quite aggressive masculine energy is asking for you to reclaim that part and speak your truth boldly and, you know, without any fear about speaking it. The other thing that's really amazingly powerful to look at are these qualities that we have, these nodes, astrologically speaking. Whilst I'm not an astrologer, I have just found this to be an extremely beneficial thing to look at. So you can go on to cafeastrology.com or anything similar, but this one I found really useful. And you can, if you know your time and your place and date of birth, then you can enter this information and you can receive information on all the different parts of your chart, your astrological chart from your point of birth. But the things that have been really, really useful for me to know we have what's known as the North Node. The North Node is like, it's direction north, which is associated with Earth, and this is so much connected with your purpose and anchoring your light here on this planet. So the North Node is like the direction, this is like the direction that you're ascending towards, like this is your highest self, if you want to consider it like that, and you're wanting to pull through this North Node expression. So your North Node will be essentially like your potentiality. So when you look at your North Node, it's like you coming into your sun, if you like. It's like when you like transcend some of your inhibitions or your restraints or your suppressions, then you will come into your North Node. It's like your ascendancy. And so it will actually kind of pinpoint aspects that are challenges for you to overcome, which you'll probably know, but sometimes just seeing it galvanized, you know, as a part of your chart, you can be like, I know these are my weak spots. These are my things to transcend. These are the places of my stickiness that I need to walk through and cross over that threshold, knowing that it's a part of my spiritual evolution. So this is your North Node. Check it out. And then just you can, you know, correspond it with how you feel about the challenges that you find in life. Maybe it's like putting yourself forward or calling yourself to attention, or, you know, being in the spotlight. What is it that is your spiritual sticking point? that you know that you have to step into and go through, because the only way is through, in order to come into your North Node and purpose and highest self-expression. And then the other aspect that is really useful to know about is your Lilith. So Lilith was said to have been, in mythology, said to have been biblically, was said to have been created at the same time as Adam. But she was ostracized from the Garden of Eden and quite severely punished because she was non-compliant. So this archetypally, energetically, is the suppressed part of the feminine, like the dark feminine, that is asking you to come into your full, wild, expressive, vocal, feminine aspect and nature and authenticity without fear. But collectively, energetically, this Lilith wound has been a part of female, feminine collective consciousness, because of this fear of speaking truth, because of the fear of being ostracized if one is to speak their truth. So your Lilith is essentially anything, any parts of you. So consider it like the dark side of your moon. Your Lilith are all the parts of you that you might have pushed down and pressed down for fear of being rejected, of being ostracized, of maybe not fitting in or not belonging, the sense of not belonging. Or even this, like maybe it's really subconscious, maybe even there's a fear of being punished that's existing kind of energetically in your consciousness field or energetically in your body, or held within your programming still, that needs to be upgraded and released. So when you look at the parts that are suppressed and you see them reflected back to you, like in written form, it can be really a useful way to go, yeah, I have been pushing that down. I have not been doing that. I know this is my place to transform. And I think this is a really powerful tool for reclamation of parts. You know, what am I suppressing? What am I repressing? How are my relationships reflecting back to me what I'm being called to express? You know, like, am I being pushed and pushed and pushed? And actually in those moments, am I speaking my truth? You know, am I expressing from my heart what is actually personally true and okay for me? So Lilith is very much about being boundaried, and it's about respect. And this is very much connected with personal, authentic expression and truth, you know, expressing your personal truth. So have an exploration, if you feel pulled to, on cafeastrology.com. Type in your information and retrieve your North Node and your Lilith, and just see if that is a true reflection, as it was for me, of the parts that you are here to transcend spiritually so that you can evolve with your soul. And lastly, just to work with your parts, you know, at any moment, at any point in the week, call in parts of your consciousness field that are asking to be heard and to be known. And you can ask them what they need for release, and they will dialogue with you. They will give you information energetically to guide you as to what they need. And you know, you can write down the conversation that you have with them, or you could even voice note record them. Sometimes my parts have a very particular voice that come through, and it's just about speaking those and honouring and loving those parts, you know, in all of their strangeness, weirdness, in all of their feelings of maybe feeling rejected or not heard or not seen, and bringing them back in your embrace of love. So I hope this video has been helpful for you, beautiful human, and wishing you loads of love on your journey. Drop me any questions or comments below if you feel it, and I will see you in the next episode of the School of Tao.